All right, hello and welcome to this edition of the Breaking Digital podcast and video. What I want to cover tonight is basically talking about Twitter. As we know, Twitter is a very, very practical tool for social media. And a lot of times, a lot of businesses sort of struggle with what to do or how to do it or whatever the case may be. And one of the big issues surrounding this all is actually how to get more Twitter followers, how to get more engaged with Twitter and what to do and when and that sort of thing. So what I want to cover today in this session is actually how to get more Twitter followers based on not just random people, not based on random activities, but rather based upon some solid processes in terms of who are the leaders out there, who are the influencers that are really important to your business. Because if they're important to your business, guess what? They're probably important to other people as well. So, and I do have some other training videos and other podcasts coming out as well related to sort of that social media side in terms of identifying why Twitter is good for you and how to use it and that sort of thing for your messaging. But what I really wanted to cover for this specific episode is just how to get more followers on Twitter and more active followers too, because as you know, Twitter can be a little bit passive. Depending on how many followers you do have, you need to build up that base of people who are looking for what you have to offer and who are interested in what you're doing and that sort of thing in Twitter. So that's really what I want to cover is how to actually create this specific, a great following of Twitter followers as you get into it. So, and what I've got is I've got two main tools that I use to be able to grow my Twitter followers. Okay, and right now I am sitting at about 4,978 followers and following about 5,300. And if you take a look at this, I've actually only been doing this for within the last 6 months, this process. Back in September, I kind of stumbled upon how to actually build an active user base. And I think it was before this, it was 2000. I actually started about 1,200. It took me about 3 years, I think, to get to about 1,200. So it can take a long time, but that really was more of a passive approach. So this process is really quite an active approach as well. So if you go to twittercounter.com, log in with your Twitter account, it actually gives you some fantastic statistics in terms of what your account does and how many followers you have and where you rank. So right now, like I said, 4,981 followers, 5,309 people I'm following, and worldwide rank is 1,230,425. So again, when I started, I was in the 3, 4, 5 million categories. So it's gone a long ways. And unfortunately, the stats, if you go for the paid program, you can go further back. And I do have some visuals, but again, those are in some of the other presentations, other slide shares as well. So, but anyway, you get the idea. Look, this has been a very specific process that I've built based on creating active followers and getting rid of people who don't follow you, because guess what, at the end of the day, that's really important as well. Is that, look, people need to be active on Twitter, otherwise it's not going to be very helpful for you and your business. So twittercounter.com, again, that's just setting up some statistics for Twitter, where you are, how many people are following you, and that sort of thing. So super, super important to use that tool to measure and to analyze, pardon me, what exactly it is you're doing. So if you go to the other main tool that I use that I built all these followers from is called Tweepi.com. So TWEEPI.com. And what this really is a tool that helps you sort of look at how active your followers are and allows you to follow influencers with their Twitter accounts and also remove people who aren't following you or being very active as well. So what it comes down to is, we've probably all heard this psychological term called reciprocity, right? If you do something for somebody, typically they will in return that favor type thing. So Twitter is no different, right? If you follow someone, there is a good possibility that they will follow you back. Not everybody does that, but that's what happens. It really just comes a numbers game. And the second criteria is that you need to be able to make sure that the people who do follow you are active. Because if they're not, again, you're going to have a very passive audience, not doing very much and that sort of thing. So really, that's the key criteria, is that they're following somebody, an influencer in your industry, and I'll show you that in a minute, but also that they're very active as well. So go to tweepi.com, tweepi.com, and what you do is you want to log in. If you sign up, that's because you're having a paid account. This is a free account, right? It's got some cool features. You can't do everything, but you can do everything that you need to. And what you want to do is log in via Twitter, okay? Making sure that your Twitter account is connected, because that makes it easy, right? We're working with Twitter. So you land out in my dashboard, and what you want to do is there's two main menus that we're going to use: follow followers, and then not following back as well. And what I found works quite nicely is to basically, they had the term flush first, right? So you wanted to unfollow or flush people who are not following you back. So right now it says I've got 604 people who I'm following, but they're not following back. So it's pretty easy. Just click on that menu item and away you go. So what this does then is shows you all the users who, for whatever reason, they haven't followed you back. So what I also do is I take a look at the activity. So if you go to last tweeted, basically it categorizes them a lot easier in terms of how active they are. And again, this is really important because you don't want the people who are not very active, right? Because they're not going to be helping. They're not going to be tweeting your stuff or retweeting or liking it or whatever case may be. So what I do is go to the last tweeted and unfollow those people who are not very active and who have not followed me back, okay? So simple unfollow, 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 unfollow. And what I do is I do this process about 2 times a week. Just because you don't want to kind of alert Twitter too much to how you're doing this, right? Not necessarily that it's a bad thing, but look, Twitter kind of keeps an eye on things and make sure that you kind of don't do too much of one thing, right? So I typically do it about 2 times a week. Again, pick your days, kind of early week to middle of to the end of the week type thing, Tuesday, Thursday. But you do want to give it a little bit of time in between, because once we get to the next step, which is following followers, you want to give them some time to be able to actually do that. So, and again, so we're just unfollowing these people. And again, some of them are not too active. So typically they should have been able to follow you back if that's what they do, right? If they don't follow you back, then guess what? It doesn't really help you anyways. So they'll probably just sit there for quite some time. So you want to flush about 100 to 150 every time you do this, okay? And it's basically just clicking the button. You can hear my mouse clicking. Obviously not that exciting for a podcast because you can't see anything, but that's basically how you do it. So I just want to make sure that we sort of deliver the whole message here. So basically unfollow those. And we'll get rid of a few. And what's nice about Tweepi is that it really gives you an up-to-the-minute activity in terms of what's going on and how many people have unfollowed you or you've unfollowed them and that sort of thing. So like this person, for example, last tweeted 4 months ago, right? Guess what? Probably not an active user, so we want to remove that as well. So quite a few here that can be done as well. So again, just unfollow, sort by date, or last tweeted rather, and unfollow them as you go. So it's pretty easy. Not a big deal. So anyway, and you can also actually within Tweepi too, it's nice because you can lock some accounts so that people are so you don't mistakenly delete them. Okay, so in this case, at Emote Digital, it's a company I met in Melbourne. I want to follow what they're doing, so you can lock this account so that I can't mistakenly remove it at a later date. So you can save those, or rather it saves automatically. So and away we go. Just delete them all, or rather unfollow all of them as well. Pretty easy. So that gives a pretty good idea, and it gives you a running total as well in terms of how many people are not following back. And again, do this. So I've unfollowed 65 people. Typically, like I said, do about 100 to 120, 150, that sort of thing. You want to keep around, I think Twitter has a rule that you have to have about 10% difference between followers and following. So in this case, I've got about 5,000 roughly. So I could go within 500 type thing between followers and following, but you want to keep that small to about 200 or so, 250, that sort of thing, just because that keeps your count nice and clean, basically. So It's not a big deal. Now, the next thing, so that's basically flushing, right? So the next thing you want to do is you need to find out who your specific uh, influencers are, sorry, in your industry are, and you've probably seen them, you probably follow them. They're the guys who are being able to provide a lot of information. They're very active on Twitter. They've got a lot of followers, so they're really quite easy to spot, right? But what you need to do is find the specific ones for your own industry and start to follow those. Okay, so I've got a few that I follow that are specific to my industry of digital marketing, digital media, and that sort of thing. So I've got, and entrepreneurship as well. So I've got Richard Branson, I've got TED Talks, I've got Gary Vee, I've got Chris Brogan, I've got Marketing Profs, I've got Adweek, Ad Age, Entrepreneur Magazine, Guy Kawasaki, HubSpot, Business Insider, Mary Smith, Jason Falls, SME Examiner, Social Media Today, and Harvard Biz, right? So let's start with... let's make it an easy one. So Guy Kawasaki, right? Great, brilliant guy, does a lot of digital marketing, that sort of thing. Or super guy to follow as well. So all we need to do is go back to our dashboard and follow followers. So who is my interesting user? Well, in this case, I'm going to say it's Guy Kawasaki. So click it in. It goes to who all the followers are of Guy Kawasaki. And basically what you want to do then is sort by last tweeted, because you want to be able to see how many people are following him and how active those followers are as well. Because if they're not very active on their account, guess what? They're not going to be very active on your account. And maybe just to back up a bit, the reason why you want to follow followers is because those people are the ones who are potential or rather are interested in the topic that you're talking about, right? So again, my topic is digital strategy, digital marketing, and that sort of thing. So the people who follow Guy Kawasaki are typically interested in that type of content. So that's what we're doing, is we're just targeting the content and through the carriers, who in this case are the influencers, working on the principle of reciprocity, that if we follow them, they will follow us back and start to engage with us and rather share our material, favorite our tweets, retweet, whatever the case may be. So that's the key message here. So what I've done is sorted by last tweeted, which is good, and I've got a bunch that show up. So you can add more filter criteria, but this is honestly as deep as you want to go. So sort by last tweeted, and then just follow, right? So it's pretty easy thing to do. You can follow, again, you want to do about 100 at a time. Otherwise, it's going to take a long time to build up a following, right? It does take some time to obviously click, as you can hear in my mouse, but that's the point, right? Is you want these people, they're active on Twitter, they will probably about 60% of the time they'll actually follow you back as well. So, and that's why there's a difference between followers and following over time too. So that's why you need to go clean those ones up. The people who don't follow you back, you've got to remove those, because they're not really active with you and with your content as well. So, and that's basically it. And you'll see, and actually what I typically do is I kind of over click there, but you want to keep the activity to within about 24 hours is usually the maximum. So anything between just now and the next, and 24 to 48 hours. If it's anything beyond that, they're probably not going to be very active on Twitter anyway, so they're not going to retweet, they're not going to favorite any of your tweets as well. So it's probably not best to add them as well. So again, go to last tweet, go to about 24 hours. You'll quickly see on the screen that it sorts them by time as well. So anything from 21 minutes ago in this case, in this screen, down to days and weeks and that sort of thing. It would be nice if they sorted actually everything, but they don't, unfortunately. It's only on a page by page basis. So you do have to kind of just go up to your limit and then kind of go to the next page and that sort of thing. So, and also you can keep an idea on, or keep an eye on followers count as well. If they're fairly small, then you may just want to sort of skip that one as well. I haven't found a correlation yet between the size of followers and whether they follow you back, so it's all good for that. So, and as I'm following people, they're actually coming through on my mobile, people who are following me back. So it works very, very quickly. You'll start to see this very active right away. So again, that's really, really important. Make sure they're active followers, and then make sure that your content, okay, then that's a whole subject unto its own, but that's where the content is very, very important. That people aren't going to retweet, they're not going to favorite your tweets unless you're providing good content that these groups of people are quite interested in. So, and let's see, we'll add a few more and then wrap that up. So and you can also sort of use other criteria as well, which can be nice. Like if they don't have a profile picture, then they're probably not very active. Again, keeping within the 24 to 48 hours can be very helpful as well. And yeah, so I've followed 97 people. So again, you want to keep it to just over 100. If you're doing it a couple times a week, okay, that's not too bad. So anything between 100 and 150, I wouldn't go over that, because then Twitter says, hey, why is this person getting so many followers at once? So keep that in mind, because don't forget, this is an active process. This isn't a passive process where people just kind of find you on Twitter. We need to take it to the next level, which is basically making it active, right? So we're going out there, we're adding followers specific to influencers, and that's where the real power comes from, because these people are interested in what you're talking about, so they more than likely will follow you. Not 100% of the time, but hey, that's Twitter as well. So all right, so that's pretty good. We're up to 121, so I'm going to keep it at that and leave it for this point in time right now. So then basically that's it. So the key ingredients, check your statistics on twittercounter.com. We can quickly refresh them as well. Actually, Twitter Counter doesn't allow you to do that too often. I think only a couple times a day, so you won't be able to see the difference, but that's okay. I'll just zoom in for the last week. And basically you'll be able to see, okay, when you cleared out a bunch of old followers, right, it's going to drop down quite significantly, and then it's going to pick up as well in terms of the followers also. So use that tool, pick out your specific influencers, right, who are they, find out who they are, follow them obviously, and then follow their followers, and that's what you do with tweetbee.com. So hopefully that's been helpful. Growing an audience is one of the fundamentals of Twitter. You have to do it properly, you have to do it effectively, and you have to do it regularly as well. And if you're not doing it, it's going to be too passive for you, and it's not going to provide that audience for you. And you'll actually notice that as you get into this, as you develop Twitter followers, a larger base, you're going to find that the activity is a lot higher. Like right now, daily I get like dozens of retweets and dozens of followers and favorites and that sort of thing every day. And I haven't, in some cases, I don't do this, every week type thing, but that's the important thing, is that if you can, you build that followers over a longer period, and then your activity level goes up substantially as well. So that's why you got to do it. And again, the actual messages of, okay, well, what do I do with Twitter followers? That's a completely other discussion. So it's something that keep an eye out for that in my podcast, as well as on SlideShare and all my videos as well. So looking forward to having you listen to more of these in the future. If you can, please leave some comments, some reviews on iTunes, some reviews on YouTube's, and if you've got any comments as well, or questions, whatever the case may be, please contact me. My email is doyle@thedigitaldelusion.com. All right, so that's it. Thank you again for listening, and I will see you online, and I'm Doyle Bueller.